Hello, School Transportation Nation. Want to welcome you to the podcast. We've got outstanding editor-in-chief Ryan Gray with us today. He's going to be bringing you all the great headlines, and this episode is brought to you by TransFinder, the leader in school bus routing software, by Ride, real innovation delivered with excellence. Ryan's going to be talking with our special guest. You might know him as Mr. Bus Driver Cordarius Jones from Incambia County Schools. Now, he created this podcast. It was really heavy around him being on a bus because he's an actual driver. And it's really cool to see him interact, talk about the kids, look at seat assignments, just his perspective on things. And he's really created a fun engagement in school transportation. And we hosted him at the STN Expo in Reno last year, which was really cool. IC Bus brought him in as a social influencer, and we have tapped him for a session, Ryan, correct? Out in STN Expo in Charlotte, coming up March 20th through the 25th.
Absolutely, yeah. Mr. Bus Driver Cordarius is going to be joining a panel, actually, where we have several student transporters, actually two transportation directors who have used social media in their operations for recruitment purposes, as well as communication to the outside world. And obviously have Cordarius there with his influencer status, moderated by a social media expert there from the Charlotte area. So should be a great conversation.
Yeah, and Cordarius is quite the following, right? 29,000 Facebook followers and 70,000 TikTok followers. So that's quite a big audience. So we love seeing that, spreading the good word about everything we're doing at STN Expo, and we're glad to have him. And we're going to dive into some big headlines right after a quick message. Hey guys, what do software, hardware, and safety have in common? One word: TransFinder. At the STN Expo in Reno, TransFinder won 3 Innovation Choice Awards voted on by STN Expo attendees for best software, best hardware, best safety technology. TransFinder's Route Finder plus routing solution and apps, StopFinder and Wayfinder, are well known in the industry. Not everyone realizes TransFinder provides hardware like card readers, tablets, and mounts. And as for safety, Patrol Finder for schools is TransFinder's latest solution designed to make buses and campuses safer. TransFinder's president and CEO, Antonio Civitella, said the recognition means so much because it's voted on by STN Expo attendees. Civitella said, "We know a lot is riding on TransFinder because a lot is riding on those yellow buses that travel through our communities. TransFinder must continue to innovate as more is being expected of transportation departments from district leadership as well as parents." Learn more at transfinder.com. That's transfinder.com. All right, we're back. All right, Ryan, hit us. What are the top headlines over on stnonline.com right now? What do we need to know about?
Well, right now, actually, an article that's not on the website, at least yet, last week, the word on the street is if you have been awarded EPA Clean School Bus funds, that portal is now reopened, and the cash will apparently be flowing soon. The National Association for Pupil Transportation last week sent out an email advising the industry of the fact that EPA has released all the funds basically through round 3. So that's basically if you're looking at earlier in 2024. So apparently this does not cover the latest rebate. And of course, that 2024 rebate, the application window closed in January. So apparently that is still frozen. We still have not even heard of winners yet. That was supposed to be announced this spring. So that sounds like it's still on hold. A lot of folks obviously have had a lot of anxiety about that. It's really interesting when you're talking to all of the different experts out there. Of course, we have these advocates, WRI and their electric school bus initiative. CalSTART is also very heavily involved with this, and talking to those experts, and when they don't have any answers and they don't know basically as much as we do, that a lot of people are in the dark. So this was some good news. Again, we're still trying to get some of the details on this, but apparently, again, if you have been awarded previous EPA Clean School Bus Funds. That portal is now open. You're probably already well aware of that. So that's some good news, Tony, especially as we are in that traditional buying season, if you will, when folks are at least finalizing budget proposals or making purchase orders to get their next cycle of school buses. So electric, of course, has been about 98% of the awards so far. And, I was speaking with someone recently about that, kind of we're trying to prognosticate what's going to happen with Clean School Bus. And this person told me basically it will be interesting to see, knowing that the Trump administration is really focusing back on internal combustion engines, on fuel, diesel, of course, but of course natural gas. And for this industry, the propane auto gas cousin to that. But really, one thing that some folks are looking at is if Clean School Bus Program does proceed, will there be a shift in the priority, meaning not so much electric and more to propane, even CNG perhaps. I know there's relatively few CNG school buses out there compared to propane and diesel and gasoline, for that matter, or even the growing number of electrics out there. So again, still a lot of unknowns and a lot of stuff that's still coming out of Washington D.C. right now, and in terms of DOGE and the different cuts and whatnot. So I think that Clean School Bus is probably a little bit lower on the priority list right now in comparison with everything else that's going on. But certainly, some good news there last week that at least that portal has been reopened.
Well, you know what, Ryan, I went over to the EPA.gov/clean school bus page, and guess what? The first picture is from the STN Expo Green Bus Summit Ride and Drive from looks like last year on their main page, where they talk about the CSB rebate program, where they were accepting applications until January 14th, 2025, and it was cut off, and they expect to be awarding more funds. But like you said, the questions I'm getting are, hey, if we applied for that, are they going to give out money for that still? So I guess the jury's still out on how that's going to play out. But, they say on the EPA website that they've allocated about 8,500 school bus replacements over 1,000 schools. So it's a big number, making a big impact. But, still in the grand scheme of things, what do we say? 450 to 500,000 yellow school buses on the road. 8,500, it's a drop in the bucket, I guess, comparative to the larger pool of school buses out there.
Exactly. Yes. And certainly when you look at diesel, and that's what a lot of folks, obviously most folks nationwide, they have diesel school buses. And the big conversation, of course, for the past few years, really, that we've been having and that a lot of folks have been having is what's going to happen with diesel going forward, amid things that California Air Resources Board has been doing. Now, we've been talking about that recently, Tony, where CARB saw that the Trump administration was coming in. They saw the writing on the wall. They ceased going after all the waivers that were needed to fully implement the Advanced Clean Trucks rule. Now, school bus is different from that. That's a different program. But yet still, as we talk often, Tony, what happens with heavy-duty trucks, it trickles down to school buses. Certainly, many of the OEMs are multinational companies, and they have a very large truck unit. So certainly, when you're talking about R&D, it's, definitely that money is going to be spent with an eye toward eventually how is that going to impact school buses. And we've already started to see that with rolling back some of those requirements, or some of those, dozen or so states outside of California that follow the CARB rules, they've now, a lot of them have said, hey, we're not going to enforce this. So I've already started to sense that the OEMs, the engine manufacturers are starting to recalibrate. And I think that we're definitely going to see more diesel school buses, even gasoline school buses, eventually go into markets where over the last year or two, we thought that we were going to start seeing things constrict. So it's definitely opening up. And, but we have to keep in mind also, electric's not going anywhere. Certainly with the current administration, they are not prioritizing electrification. But certainly, when you look at these large companies that have sunk so many dollars into electrification, into zero emissions, that can't be reversed overnight, and it won't be reversed overnight. Too much money has been invested. So we're going to see that continuing. The Trump administration, definitely their priority is they want the states to dictate the pathway going forward. And we see that on a larger scale with what's happening with the Department of Education as well. So I think that certainly some of the folks I've talked to think that regardless of what happens with EPA Clean School Bus Program, the impetus is going to really fall on the states. If they want this, they're going to need to pony up the cash. And many of these states already have programs that are addressing clean school buses, greener school buses, again, whether those be electric, propane, or otherwise. So, definitely stay tuned to stnonline.com. We're always talking to folks and getting articles up as quick as we can, as once we can verify things, once we have something definitive that we can report. So stay tuned.
Yeah, Ryan, I agree with you. The state's decisions are definitely going to play into it. And we've seen that, obviously, like California, New York, right? That's the heavy focus. We do get a lot of action on the West Coast. I mean, we always joked over the years that STN Expo was the green show. We really never came out and said it until we launched the Green Bus Summit some years ago. Gosh, I think it was maybe even 2015, 2016 that we launched it. And then we did it for a few years. We tabled it. And then we brought it back as all this new energy choices started occurring. So it's really been an evolution of options for customers out there to identify what is the best fuel of choice for them. And I think we're also seeing a shift from our OEM partners that they're also saying, hey, we have all these other engine options. And we see that at STN Expo too, in terms of the sessions that are being offered. They're trying to offer a bit more of an agnostic discussion versus really we've been so focused on electric because it's been the new kid in town, right? Everybody wants to know about it. Everybody's learning about it. Now that there's a little more familiarity, now we're kind of falling back into, hey, let's talk about the benefits of all these different energy choices to see what fits you best, Mr. School District or Mr. Contractor. So it's very interesting to see that. And obviously we've got guys that are more pure play operators like Ride that does electric school buses. So they're focused on that energy source. So very interesting stuff.
Absolutely. And coming up here, actually out this week now, our March issue, and I have a conversation with TJ Reed, who is, as of last fall anyways, the new president and CEO of Thomas Built Buses. And certainly he tells me that diesel absolutely is at play for them. So we talk a little bit about that. We know that gasoline is going to be coming to Thomas here in the next couple of years once Cummins releases its new engine offering, its new engine line. So he basically told me that Thomas wants to position itself so that they are responsive to customers' needs. Whatever they need, Thomas is going to provide. So definitely check that out. That's online right now, stnonline.com. Catch that article as well as all the articles in March.
Yeah, and I know we had some pretty shocking headlines in terms of safety. There was some treacherous road conditions that had occurred, and a driver's being hailed as a hero. You want to give us a little more detail on that?
Absolutely. So that comes out of Minnesota, Onamia School District, actually. Very reminiscent of that near head-on crash last year at Hayes Consolidated Independent School District in Texas, outside of Austin. That one, of course, resulted in a fatality. We reported on that, a concrete mixer, the driver of that truck. Come to find out, had done cocaine the night before and just should not have obviously been on the road and caused that crash. Veered across the yellow line into the school bus path. Well, this incident that happened on February 5th, actually, We got some video of it up on one of our Wire Report articles at stnonline.com. And this is actually involving a semi-truck. And the semi-truck driver told authorities that apparently hit some black ice. So as you can see in the video and in the still picture we have, snowy conditions pre-dawn. It happened about 7:13 a.m., 7:14 a.m. on February 5th. And you see the semi just start to drift over the line. Again, very reminiscent of what we saw through the dash cam video down in Texas last year. But this time the truck starts to kind of go off the road. The bus veers to the left, and so it was a glancing blow on the right side of the school bus as opposed to the left side, that as what happened with Texas. And basically everyone walked away. There, 52-year-old Brian Lathrop, who was the school bus driver there, is being hailed a hero. So again, showing the quick reactions of school bus drivers. So much training is involved. Check that video out, and great job, Brian.
Yeah, safety is a big thing, Ryan, and we always look at the heroes out there. There's a lot of stories that the heroes aren't identified that are in school transportation. A child's choking, there's an incident. We hear stories, there's fire on a school bus. There's just always something happening, and it's great to see somebody being recognized for heroic actions.
Absolutely. And, we have another video up on stnonline.com too. A lot of folks saw this over the last couple of weeks, where a metal bar flew through a school bus windshield and struck the school bus driver, Stuart O'Leary. So that was up in Washington State, North Shore School District. That happened just a couple of days after this near miss in Minnesota on February 7th. So we have that video, and again, showing the wherewithal of this school bus driver to retain his composure. He was actually driving an athletic trip on the freeway, so going at much higher speeds. It really could have been a disaster. He said he thought it was a leaf spring from a vehicle that was ahead of him that flew off, and you can see it happen. Obviously, he got injured, but I think he was released from the hospital later that night and was back driving like a day or two later. So again, sometimes it takes some of these videos to show what school bus drivers go through, what they deal with, what they must endure, and a lot of times how their training in practice saves lives. And it's going to be really interesting when I talk with Mr. Bus Driver Cordarius Jones a little bit later. You mentioned, Tony, at the onset, where a lot of his videos give a literal behind the wheel view of what he's seeing on the road. And so it's interesting. He actually wears meta glasses. So I want to talk to him a little bit about that. So a lot of these videos that I'm talking about right now with these news stories, of course, are the dash cam or the surveillance videos inside the bus. But we're just really seeing over and over again the use of video, especially when it comes to that dash cam forward-facing video that's showing the road, that's showing, again, what school bus drivers deal with. And also it's being used for a lot of coaching as well. So we've talked a lot about that in the magazine and online. So, but again, kudos to Stuart O'Leary and Brian Lathrop. Great job out there, guys.
Yeah, Ryan, forgot to tell you as well, happy March. I mean, March 1st, we're here. The brand new March edition of STN Magazine is out on the STN website. You guys go to stnonline.com, click on that magazine tab, check out the latest edition. We're also previewing STN Expo East, which is just like a couple of weeks away, Ryan. I feel like we've been waiting, and here we are. It is upon us. We're very excited. We're closing in on 300 attendees, about 200 exhibiting staff. We've got a jam-packed schedule, our Transportation Director Summit. We've got our Bus Technology Summit with our Green Bus Summit, a ride and drive over at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. People are going to be riding, driving on the track. Really cool stuff. We've got a great event at the Sprint Cup Garage at the Motor Speedway as well with networking. Just a lot happening.
Absolutely. And also, too, we have the 8-hour NHTSA Child Passenger Safety on School Buses seminar on the opening day. We have a 2-day school bus inspection training that's going to include OEM training on the second part of Saturday, which is day 2. March 22nd. So there's still time to register, folks. You can go online, come out and just meet us out there in Concord, out there in the suburbs of Charlotte, there by the Motor Speedway. We'll, of course, be, welcoming folks to register on site. There is just so much to partake in. Spread the word. Head over to stnexpo.com East and catch all the details.
Yeah, don't forget about Scott Welly.
Exactly.
He's outperformed the norm, our keynote address. I know Taylor was super excited to talk about that with me last week, and she gave us lots of kudos because she loves hearing those keynotes really inspire her and get motivated and feel invigorated. And I think that's what we hope for people when they come to STN Expo East is take advantage of all the training and networking and really great stuff. And we also have STN Expo West in Reno this summer. If you can't make East, West is available as well. That's July 11th through the 16th. We have our super early bird discount. Go over to stnexpo.com/West to grab that. Or for East, stnexpo.com/East. So pretty easy for you guys to go, get registered, come out, hang out with your peers, learn a little bit, get some networking in, meet with our vendor partners at the sold out trade shows. Definitely great stuff. See new products, solutions to help identify for your school transportation operation. So we can't wait to see you there, guys. Super excited for that. We got more headlines coming up right after this message.
The safest family of electric school buses just got bigger. Meet the Creator, the all-new Type C school bus from Ride. With seating for up to 78 students, the Creator joins the Achiever and Dreamer to form the most advanced lineup of electric school buses on the road. Visit ride.co to discover the future of student transportation. Ride. We are changing the way kids get to school.
All right, we're back, Ryan. So, Ryan, a lot of people out there in school bus, they love the bus, right? And we got some Love the Bus galleries up, right? A lot of great pictures from Love the Bus back on Valentine's Day.
Absolutely, yeah. So, all month long, our Ruth Ashmore was collecting videos and photos and stories from folks nationwide. So we do have a photo gallery of several dozen photos from all across the nation. And certainly, NAPT, they have basically taken real ownership of Love the Bus going forward. We wrote about that last year after the American School Bus Council disbanded. So NAPT is running that show now and really putting out the word. And as we had an article last month, I believe, on stnonline.com, they're really pushing for, hey, Love the Bus shouldn't just be a February celebration. This needs to be happening year round. And certainly so many states have school bus driver appreciation weeks or school bus driver appreciation months. We know, of course, we have NHTSA School Bus Safety Week, the third full week of October every year. Every year as well, Child Safety Network has really picked up the baton and is pushing that school bus driver week at the federal level with those recognitions that go ahead before Congress. One of those feel good stories, right? No one's going to vote against that, Tony. So those are always resolutions that always pass unanimously. But there's so many opportunities out there to celebrate school buses, student transportation, and all the professionals who are on the front lines as well as behind the scenes, making that happen safely and efficiently every day. So definitely get involved with those activities, create your own at your district, great outreach opportunities for the local media. Invite them out there to your facility, let them board the buses, take them for a ride, show them, what your school bus drivers and your other staff go through in terms of training to prepare. Always a great story at back to school time in August and September. So certainly, you can head over to lovethebus.com and you can get all the details on the different templates that are provided to districts for press releases and toolkits. And certainly, again, head over to stnonline.com to view that story, and you can see some actual examples from across the nation.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. Also, want to bring to everybody's attention some recent webinars we hosted on stnonline.com. If you go to stnonline.com/tag/webinar, you'll check it out. One webinar covered cost cutting, not corners, the future of school bus maintenance. It was presented by First Student and First Consulting. Very interesting conversation. They had some great panelists, specifically Todd Hawkins, Senior VP of Maintenance, talked a lot about what First Student does, what they're doing dynamically. And we had Edmund Dixon from First Consulting on there as well. So he had a lot of interesting insights, specifically talking about how someone might want to streamline their maintenance processes, cut costs, not corners. So definitely go watch that, check it out. Definitely worth looking at. And also, we have another webinar that I presented with Transact Communications called Safety First, Enhancing K-12 Student Transportation Safety with Technology. That was, again, another great conversation. We had Mike Roche. He's the VP of Customer Engagement for Easy Routing that is owned by Transact Communications, and Alan Leonard, the Director of Transportation at Fayette County Public Schools, who shared his experience about how he leverages technology specific around routing. So really interesting stuff. Guys, go check out those webinars. If you didn't already see them, share them, get them out there. They're available on the STN website for 24/7 viewing. You can download the slide decks as well and some attachments that are attached to that. Just go on there, sign up, stnonline.com, click on that multimedia webinars. It's right there for you to go enjoy. Well, guys, we got a great interview coming up with Ryan and Cordarius, Mr. Bus Driver, right after this message.
All right, let's welcome to the School Transportation Nation podcast stage, Mr. Bus Driver. You heard Tony and I talking about him a little earlier. Cordarius Jones, school bus driver for Escambia County, Florida. So that's the Pensacola area, the Panhandle.
Yes, sir.
Cordarius, thanks so much for joining us.
Of course, my pleasure.
So we've known about you for, probably over a year. It's taken too long to get you on the podcast, but really appropriate to do so for a couple reasons. Obviously, you have a huge online social media presence. I think it's 70,000 TikTok followers and
70,000 TikTok and 160,000 Facebook.
160,000 Facebook. Wow. Okay. So I think earlier Tony, he shortchanged. I think he said like 29,000. So that's quite a bit more than that. So you have a huge footprint out there. I think it's safe to call you an influencer. And I think that what struck me over the last couple of years is obviously we all know about social media and a lot of us use it mostly probably for our personal lives. But certainly me being in the media game, I have some social accounts. I don't use it quite like I should or as frequently. But this sets the stage, this conversation does, for a panel that you're going to be a part of here in a couple of weeks at STN Expo East in Concord, North Carolina, on social media usage. So I felt it appropriate to get you on, and I wanted to talk to you. We'll talk a little bit about that session, what's coming, but also about you. So tell us about who Cordarius Jones is, Mr. Bus Driver.
Well, I was born here, Pensacola, Florida, born and raised. Most people would think I have this magical story about how I just love kids and just, always wanted to be a bus driver, but it actually came about, I was in between jobs and my grandmother ended up unexpectedly passing away in 2018. So my meditation for that to kind of help me cope with everything, I would just drive around listening to gospel music. And I saw a sign. It was just a sign staked in the ground that said, now hiring school bus drivers. I didn't think anything of it, just drove past it. Well, I saw the exact same sign maybe a minute or two later. Again, not really thinking anything of it, but I told myself, I said, now if I see that sign one more time, I'll just go in. And the next time I saw that sign was maybe about 3 minutes away. And it was a banner on a school bus, like a huge banner that said, now hiring school bus drivers. And I took that as the biggest sign, went in and applied, and I've been stuck since then. Have a great relationship with my district, with my students. Anybody that knows me in the district know I can run a route from the north end of the county, anywhere in between to the south end without a route sheet.
Oh, wow.
I've driven that many routes. But yeah, I feel like it was my calling. Some people come into this job as just wanting a job, but I feel like it was really my calling to be in this profession.
Okay, divine intervention, if you will.
Yes.
So you've been driving around about 6 or 7 years then?
6 years. April will make 6 years.
Okay, great. So what did you do before school bus driving?
Before my first job was McDonald's. I started off as a crew member. Within about 3 or 4 months, I went to a crew trainer. And then within another about 2 months, I was a shift manager. Then I went into Walmart for customer service. And prior to becoming a school bus driver, I actually was going to go into law enforcement. I really wanted to be a state trooper. Well, I got through the application, everything. I got to the PAT test. And because I had a situation with my knee, my patella, if I overextend it, it'll dislocate. My doctor never cleared me for the PAT until I had some kind of plates put in my knee, as far as the surgery. So I just never went back to it. I've always had a passion for law enforcement, but I never went back to it. And I feel like, again, those signs on that school bus, I feel like that was a sign from my grandmother up above saying, this is where you need to be. The law enforcement may be where you want to be, but the school bus and children is where you need to be.
It's public safety, either way you cut it, right? I
Right,
mean,
right.
you're, I don't know if Escambia County has you wearing uniforms. I know I see a lot of your videos, but I don't necessarily see always wearing uniforms. And we'll get into kind of, you working with the school district in a second. But how did the whole social media thing start? Were you big on social media before you created Mr. Bus Driver? How did Mr. Bus Driver come about to begin with?
No, actually, I'm not a person. I hate taking pictures. I hated hearing my voice, hated recording myself. How it came about, 2019, I was practicing my route. It was summer, just going into the new school year. And I had a route to where I knew it was going to be a troubled area because it was a troubled apartment complex. I pulled over in the apartment complex and I'm looking at my route sheet saying, hey, okay, where's my next stop? Where do I go from here? And a lot of the kids I knew that I was going to end up driving were at the playground. And when they saw the bus, they knew school was coming in. So they started, making obscene gestures, at the bus, trying to get my attention. So I was like, okay, let me ease out of here. And as I started easing out, they started throwing orange popsicles. I remember specifically orange popsicles. They threw them at the bus. And I left the apartment complex and I went to the next neighborhood over. I pulled over and I put my head in my hand and I just made a status on Facebook and I explained the entire story. I wrote it, explained the entire story. And that was probably one of the first posts I've ever posted that kind of blew up on Facebook. So many people were messaging me, oh my gosh, that's just so funny. Please give us an update. Let us know how it goes. I'm praying for you. Those kids are. And me personally, I'm thinking it was a spur of the moment thing. Like it's just going to be they're going to comment and they're going to forget it. Well, the end of the first week came and I got messages. Hey, how did it go? How were the kids? Were they excellent? Were they good? Did you have the problems? So I told myself, I said, I can do one or two things. I can type another post out explaining it, or I can be funny with it, make a video explaining it. And as I started editing the video, I said, ooh, let me put like a meme here. Let me put a little funny clip here, trying to explain it. But it blew up within a week. It got over 100,000 views. And so many people were they were adding my personal Facebook. And I'm like, okay, this is getting out of control. So I made a status. I said, hey, you guys really love the video. How would you like it? I mean, I said, who would follow me if I made a comedy page telling you how it feels to be a bus driver? Bunch of people reacted to it. And when I thought of the name, I said, what is a name that's going to, because I know a nickname is going to stick. You have actors that you still call them, what they played in a movie. So I said, I want something that's going to stick. And it rung in my head. My kids, even though my name is Mr. Jones, right above my bulkhead, they're still raising their hands. Excuse me, Mr. Bus Driver, he hit me. Mr. Bus Driver, can I move here? Ding. Mr. Bus Driver. So,
and it obviously did stick. So, you are all over the place. So, and one of the ways that we first learned about you is, if any of you folks out there in school transportation nation land go to industry trade shows, you've probably seen Mr. Bus Driver Cordarius at the IC Bus booth.
right.
So you are basically a mainstay at most of the conferences. I know you've been out to STN Expo West out in Reno. How did that come about?
It was a total shock to me. It was June. Somebody, Lacey, messaged me in my email, and usually my emails I'm just going through. Maybe I ordered something, looking for something here, but that one stuck out. It said IC Bus Partnership. So I was like, so many people were commenting on my video saying, oh my gosh, you should get a sponsorship with IC Bus. You take great pictures, you showcase their buses. And me personally, I was never looking for it. I just love putting out the comedy for others to enjoy. So she messaged me and said, hey, we have this great idea. We love what you do. We love that you use our buses. We would love to fly you out to Reno. We're having a trade show and we have a great idea for you. And it went on from there. They flew me out, myself and my wife, and it just so happened to be around our first year anniversary. So we got to spend our anniversary down there. But it was amazing. It was my first time ever being on a plane, first time ever going that far, and it was absolutely amazing.
Well, no, it's not easy to get to Reno from a lot of places in Florida, probably Pensacola as well. But I know getting from Tallahassee, I don't know if you flew from Tallahassee but that's a trek in and of itself. So that's kudos to you to it can be like 2 or 3 legs to get there. But
right.
So you have these channels, and I've watched many of your videos. They're entertaining, they're informative. How do you come up with your ideas? Does it just, you think, you wake up one day or in the morning say, hey, I think I'm going to pre-trip a bus today? Or some of the ones are obviously pretty spur of the moment. Like there was one where you're driving down the street and I mentioned you wear the meta glasses to give people a true behind the wheel vision or experience. But there was a police chase, so you pull over. So how often do you plan things out, or they just happen and then they become a video?
When it comes to the comedy side, again, I tell everybody, regardless of what the video is about, whether it's about drivers running stop arms, it's about students misbehaving, each video has a message. But a lot of things come about. You hear stuff on the radio. A driver may come and tell me a story, and they may never know that I'm going to make a video about it. But most of it is just spur of the moment. I go with the flow. My wife comes up with a lot of ideas. She's the behind the scenes. She's on the camera. So maybe she'll come to me on break and say, hey, I got an idea for a video. And we'll literally put our ideas together. And on our 2-hour break or hour and a half break, we're just at the compound recording. And one thing that kind of, really shocks people is nothing is ever scripted. We don't ever sit down and write stuff and say, you say this, that'll be funny. You say, we literally, when she holds the camera, go. And I literally think on the top of my head, I'll just make up anything. That's why I guess it's so relatable and funny, because it's me in the character of a student, parent, teacher, or another bus driver. So most of it is just spur of the moment.
So your wife, does she drive a school bus too?
She does. That's
okay.
Actually how we met. Yep. We both been 6 years.
Oh, well, congratulations to Mr. and Mrs. Jones. So
yes.
Hopefully we'll get to see her. I don't know if she's going to be able to come up to Charlotte, North Carolina in a couple of weeks. Oh, good. We'll get to meet her.
We'll be out. Yeah.
Great. So now talk about the relationship with the school district, because actually, I believe when we first really reached out to you to talk about especially the upcoming panel at STN Expo East, but also to be on the podcast, we were working on a story about the increase in school bus drivers who have their social media channels. I mean, you go on TikTok, you've probably seen a lot of them yourself, whether you're on, Instagram or TikTok or Facebook or wherever, there's all these school bus driver videos. But one of the things that we discovered as we were researching it was that not always does the school district realize that their school bus drivers are shooting these videos, and that can put the school bus driver as well as the school district in some hairy situations. But you approached it differently. You were very transparent. Talk about how you got started and in bringing your school district, your transportation supervisors into the mix.
Well, one of my transportation supervisors, they actually kind of brought it to the light of the local news. Tanner Stewart, one of our news journalists, was doing a story on the bus driver shortage and coming into the new year, what things to expect. So my supervisor, Jennifer Repon, she was in the interview with us, and she kind of brought the Mr. Bus Driver to him, and I thought it was just going to be that's cool. So he said, hey, you know what? I'm going to go watch some of your videos, see what this is about. And he immediately reached out and said, hey, do you mind if we do a story on you? I think that's pretty good what you're doing. It's comical, but it's educational. You have a great working relationship with the students. And again, me thinking it was just going to be maybe a 5-6 second clip. They did a whole segment on me, my social media, and that took off. That took off the Mr. Bus Driver. So my district, it's funny because they'll give me ideas. Hey, you should do a video about this. You should do a video about this. They love it because they know I'm coming from a genuine place. I'm never, even if I want to make something like, okay, a driver cut me off in traffic, another bus driver, they know I'm not going to, go on a video and say, hey, Cindy on bus 122, something like that. I'm going to make it comical, but I'm not going to, just go out and blast people. So they're very open to me making videos because they know these videos are going to be, respectful. They're not going to go cross any lines. But my district, they are from bus drivers to assistants all the way up into the superintendent. Everybody is 1,000% supportive. And that's one thing I love about the Escambia County School District.
And what feedback have you gotten from, whether it be folks on your social media channels, your followers, or other school bus drivers in your district or outside of your district? I mean, you're meeting people when you're at the IC bus booth and you're interviewing people and talking to people. What's some of the feedback that you've gotten from those folks who've seen your videos in terms of the message? As you said, you're trying to make it educational. Are they, bringing you ideas as well? Or I'm sure there's a lot of yes, exactly. Amen. I deal with that stuff too.
Yeah, most of them, anybody that works, and it's not just the bus drivers. A lot of times it's the teachers, because a lot of times what goes on the bus goes on in the classroom as well. So, they're always, like you said, they're always saying the same thing. Oh my God, it feels like you're driving my bus. I have this student, I have that student. And I tell them all the time, hey, we drive different routes, but each student seems like they have the same personality. Parents, too. A lot of parents will watch the videos and they say, is this really what goes on a bus? Because they never knew a lot of stuff that goes on the school bus, what a bus driver deals with. So I would say 99.9, and being 100% honest, 99.9% of my feedback has been nothing but positivity. People love the videos. They love how open, transparent, how truthful it is. And I just love making it because, again, it's showing people what we actually deal with every day. I'm acting out everybody, the teacher, the students, everyone. But this is stuff like this happens every single day.
Okay, so absolutely. I think you hit the nail on the head. And so many times we hear that there's issues on the school bus, but getting transportation, getting the principal of that class or those kids to do something about it. And obviously, most school buses have, or a lot of them have, video systems. Mm-hmm. But when you're obviously not showing the kids, or if you blur them out, and you're getting full support with the school district. But it's good to have that actual proof of, this is what's really happening. Like, as you said, you get teachers, administrators, everybody else going, oh, wow, maybe we need to take a closer look at this stuff.
Right.
So I'm curious, you were talking about, showing what it's really like to be a school bus driver. Have you or has Escambia County Schools, have you seen a renewed interest in becoming a school bus driver based upon your videos? I mean, what role does social media play in recruiting new school bus drivers? Because you're showing what the job is and some of the humor, as well as maybe some of the not so humorous things going on. But is there any impact that you've seen with that?
Yes. Actually, 2 people from the county next to us, Santa Rosa County and Okaloosa, they reached out to me. They're actually bus assistants now. And they told me it's because of my videos. they were kind of, drawn back by, thinking, okay, I'm just getting on this tank with, 70 odd kids, to look after. But, they'll inbox me and try to get pointers like, hey, how do you deal with this? How do you deal with that? And I give them the best input I can on it. But social media, me personally, I know my following, my following reaches not just everyone local. So my district can put out commercials, they can put out advertisements, but they're only reaching, a local audience versus me putting out these videos. I'm reaching, the people across the country, and they're messaging me and telling me, hey, I went in and applied to be a school bus driver. This is my first week. Wish me luck. And I try to get back to as many messages as I can. Because I know some people, they'll get to a certain fan base and they'll kind of just, they won't reply to messages anymore. But I try to reach out and try to give as much, influence as I can, if that's the best word to use. I try to just, relax their mind, give them whatever I can. But social media, it definitely helps. It helps reach a whole other audience. And it's anything I can do to help my district. I've made videos for my district, whether they were training videos or recruitment videos. The video actually that's posted on my transportation website, myself and my wife actually made the video for the district. So like I said, social media, it just reaches a whole other audience.
You'll have to give me that URL so that we can check that out, definitely. And, this part of the topic around social media, and obviously it's used for a lot of different reasons, especially in school districts. But that's going to be a lot of what we talk about at the upcoming panel at STN Expo East. So all you out there in the nation, you can learn more about this session as well as everything else. If you go to stnexpo.com East, there's still time to register. Come on site, where we'll be glad to bring you into the family, and you can register there. Quickly, as we wrap this up, Cordarius, I'm curious, how many videos have you done total?
Actually, and I forgot to touch on this earlier. I know you mentioned the guy said I had 29,000 followers. Well, a little backstory about that. That was my original page.
Okay.
That page got hacked back in 2000, maybe 21, I want to say, somewhere around there. And I lost, I was done with it. I said, you know what? I built this thing up to 29,000. I got a verification check on my name and it's all gone. And I tried to make another page, but Facebook took down the second page because they thought I was imitating the first page. So I was done with it. So 2023, on my birthday, June 14th, I asked my wife, I said, hey, people keep messaging me. Hey, where's Mr. Bus Driver? Why haven't you made any videos? And I said, should I make another page? And she said, go for it. Maybe this time it'll be bigger than the next time. From June up until January, we'll say January 25th, had maybe 1,000 followers. Again, I was losing hope. I was like, there's no way I'm getting back to 29,000. No way. I kid you not. We made one video. There was a viral challenge going around it was I'm a bus driver. Of course, and a lot of people with different professions, I'm a police officer. Of course I do. And it was just funny. So someone else made it, I'm a bus driver, and people tagged me in it. Hey, please remake this. This will be funny. Now they tagged the new page with 1,000 followers. We posted that video January the 28th. January the 31st, we had 31,000 followers.
Wow.
We gained 30,000 followers within a couple days. And right then there, I said, okay, what I lost, I'm going to get back double. And from there, every video, millions of views. To this day, 160,000 followers. So that was
5 times over,
Yes,
That's great.
So I honestly can't even count how many videos. I've made hundreds of videos combining all social media platforms. But again, this page that I have now, this is the one that, that just took off. This was the one.
So what's next for you? I mean, we see social media influencers and they get their own TV show. Wouldn't that be cool? I mean, what's next for you?
Yeah.
Obviously, you love driving the school bus. You love your channels, but have you thought maybe a few years down the line where you'd like to take this?
I'm a very spiritual person, and me personally, it's wherever the Lord takes me. That's just me. You know, if He wants me to sit in that chair and drive that bus and do videos for the rest of my life, that's what He wants me to do. But I do feel like greatness is coming. I'm not going to rush it. I'm going to take my time. You know, continue doing what I'm doing, but. You know, going to these events with IC Bus, that was a dream in itself. Just, you know, working with the people who make my school bus, you know, that was a dream. So I just feel like something big is coming towards me and I can't wait to see it. I'm pretty sure others can't wait to see it, but I'm very optimistic about the future.
That's awesome. Well, we are going to be watching, and I think the rest of the School Transportation Nation will be watching as well. And looking forward to our panel coming up in a couple weeks.
Yes.
And we're working on that. So Cordarius and I actually have a phone call in a couple days with the rest of the panel. We're getting ready, folks. So hopefully you guys can all come out and join us and meet Mr. Bus Driver Cordarius Jones in person as well. Cordarius, really appreciate you coming on. Going to be looking for some more great videos from you, and best of luck to you.
Thank you. It has definitely been a pleasure, and can't wait to make more videos. I don't know what's coming next, but something's coming.
We'll be watching.
A special thanks to Ryan and Cordarius, Mr. Bus Driver, for joining this episode. We appreciate our sponsors as well, TransFinder and Ride. Visit stnonline.com for all the latest news and analysis on the school transportation industry. Make sure you register for STN Expo East or STN Expo West. Guys, check it out at stnexpo.com for more information. Remember to subscribe for this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to pods. We got a new episode for you every week, Nation. We love you. We'll see you next week.